Hello, sports fan. This is Steven here with Sports Choice Plus. I'm bringing you a very special breakdown. I'm going to be covering the Atlanta Hawks' choice to pull Trae Young off the trade market. Before I get right into that, I want to make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel so you can get the breakdowns of every single time we have videos come out here on the sports channel. Without further ado, let's get right into it. When you're looking at last night's action, you're looking at the Atlanta Hawks facing elimination against the Boston Celtics. Nobody really gave them a chance to win. So you're looking at Trae Young and how he performed. 38 points, 13 assists, hitting the dagger three-pointer to put the game out of reach, essentially, against the Celtics going into the final seconds. And you're looking at the Atlanta Hawks coming out and saying, this is our guy, Trae Young. The statements that we saw on the news report that Trae Young is their guy. Now, you got to think, there was no DeJounte Murray. He pulled the Hawks essentially to that point. And you got to think about this. Series on the line, down 3-1, and you got to think, you're fighting for your life. He scored the last 14 points, assisted on the last 18 of 14 points, essentially, either scoring or assisting. And you're looking at, can the Hawks build around this young man? You got to keep in mind, Trae Young has a lot of immature things he does, essentially, from not showing up to games, not doing things the coaches ask him to. If this guy can turn it around and really start to become the leader for the Atlanta Hawks, the answer is yes. With himself, DeJounte Murray, you probably have to trade John Collins. You have a couple of different pieces you can move and match, but you got to think, Trae Young has to play in a system. He has to play as a teammate, and you got to think, they're not going to get probably a superstar for Trae Young. If they trade him, they probably won't even get an all-star back. Because you got to think, who's going to trade for a 6-point guard and give you a lot of stuff when they don't have a lot of stuff in return? Chances are Trae Young stays in Atlanta for a couple more years, but they have to focus on Trae Young playing defense, focus on Trae Young doing more because he's a scorer. Let's face it, he's a scorer. He's a guy that can ignite your offense, and that's what sells in the NBA. You got to think, as a point guard, he's more of a shooting guard. He's not a distributor for the most part. He does get a high number of assists, but that's because he's trapped a lot of times. That's because he's going into games and he's the focal point because there's not a lot of other offensive outlets on his side, so he's doing most of the scoring or most of the damage. So with that being said, I think the Atlanta Hawks need to keep him. I think he can be a cornerstone. I think that they just have to invest in a better source of shooters around him. I think that the Hawks have a pretty solid core. They just got to figure out what they're doing with John Collins and company. I think DeJounte Murray is an excellent pickup from the Spurs they did. And you got to think, they have a 1-2 punch with Murray and also a Trae Young that can be built upon. So in the end, Hawks have to figure out what they want to do, what kind of team they want to do, and with Snyder as the coach, they're moving in a different direction, so we got to see. It remains to be seen what's going to happen. I think you have a lot of talent coming out in the NBA draft. The Hawks could be a player in that movement by making trades up into the draft or possibly trading for free agents. I mean, trading for different players and getting active in free agency. I don't know, but Trae Young is a phenomenal player, and I think that he's going to do well moving forward with his NBA career. So get in the comment section. What do you think? Do you think the Hawks should trade him? Do you think the Hawks should keep him? Definitely check out Sports Choice Plus for all the breakdowns and other updates, and we'll see you on the very next video.